Hey guys, welcome to another thrill-packed episode of the Church Media Guys Show. And if this is your first time, well, number one, where you been? And number two, really glad you're here. And number three, if you want to learn how to use and exploit media, technology, video, podcasting, all that great, wonderful stuff that's right at our fingertips, then you can start now by clicking that subscribe button wherever it is on the screen and ringing that bell, ding, ding, so that you won't miss a thing. With me, as always, every single week, without fail, except when one of us isn't here, Justin Nava. How you doing, bud?
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the show. Welcome to shout-outs to people watching live. Augustine,
Yes.
Benjamin, James, Adam, Ryan, Christopher. Thank you all, guys, for showing up live. And I said this in our Facebook pre-show announcement, whatever you want to call it. If you watch live and you have a question, you can ask it in the chat, hashtag question, and we will actually answer your question on the live show. So if you're not watching live, Tuesdays at around 10:45 is when we start. So if you want, if you want to really shape the way the show goes, but also answer your questions in regards to that specific topic, watch us live. And if you don't know when we're live, follow us and subscribe and hit that bell on YouTube, and YouTube will tell you when we're live so you can get involved. Question of the day, are you recording your sermon every week? And now we're not just talking about live streaming today. We're talking about recording. We used to put a CD in the CD deck and we'd click record and we'd get the audio. Are you recording video for your sermon every week, even if you're not live streaming? Let us know in the chat. And happy early Thanksgiving, Dave. Happy Thanksgiving week.
Happy early Thanksgiving to you as well. Happy Turkey Week. Happy the Cowboys are going to lose on Thursday day. Whatever you want to call. Yeah, that's really bad. It's like the whole first half of their season they played a whole bunch of people that don't matter. And now things are starting to matter, and we're seeing what they're really not made of.
Let me just take a sip of my drink here real quick.
Yes, I know. Yeah, you guys are doing really good. Y'all number one, number two, something like that?
I don't know exactly. We're 7-4. We just beat the Colts, which was a big postseason determination game. So I don't know exact rankings. I don't pay attention that closely. I just enjoy watching the games. But yeah, it was a good game, and I like to follow the Cowboys. I like Dak Prescott and the team. I'm Texans number one overall. In fact, I just got some sunglasses, some prescription sunglasses from the glasses store. What do you call it? The eye doctor.
Yeah.
And they are Texans branded. So I'm pretty excited for that. That's pretty cool.
Yours are Texans?
So it's Thanksgiving here in America for me and Dave, where it matters. Little jab there at the Canadians. But today we're talking about recording your sermons, specifically recording your sermon videos. Now, full transparency, we have a little something to introduce you to, a little piece of software, a little service to introduce you to. But the reason that we are doing this today is because one of our best friends, Adam McLaughlin, we did something with him, and he said, he's got this software called Sermon Clipper. You can go to sermonclipper.com, and basically you give him your full 45-minute, hour-long, 30-minute sermon, and his team will go through and pull clips for you to use on social media. We have a code for you later in the show, so don't go anywhere yet. But he said that as part of him doing this service, he's getting a lot of questions about what are the best ways to record the sermon so you can get a quality capture to give to his team to pull quality clips? And we have some stuff here and there. We really wanted to put together almost an ultimate FAQ to recording your sermon the best way right off the start, even if you're just getting started. So today we're going to be talking about getting started, recording your sermons, what equipment, framing, lighting, software, editing, sharing it out, and including clipping your sermons. Do it yourself, or you can use Sermon Clipper. And again, we'll have a code for you at the end of the show to get 10% off for life. So that's pretty cool. So why do we want to record our sermons, even if we're not live streaming? If we're just hitting record on the CD deck or recording the audio to a USB on the Behringer board, why should we want to switch it over to video, Dave? Or why should we consider looking at recording video as well?
Well, I think one of the main reasons is for archiving and for building a library of that content. Depending on the size of your church, you may have one pastor, or you may have several. You may have like a lead pastor and then 2 or 3 others that fill in. Maybe your pastor is every 2 weeks, and the others fill in, or they do the Wednesday night or the Thursday night, or what, just depending on the size. But the thing is that a lot of the material, the things that they are preaching on, the topics, the series, the in-depth Bible studies and all that sort of stuff, a lot of that is really good meat. And it's great when you're there learning it and going through it. But it's even better when you can study it more in depth. I mean, they're not just doing this to hear themselves talk. They're not just doing it. It's not adult babysitting or something. We're actually doing these things, and pastors are putting together sermon series for a reason, to teach truths, to teach biblical principles, to help shepherd and guide, and on a macro level, disciple a congregation of believers. And so, doing that and then letting it just go away and not be available for the person who wasn't here this week or the person who wasn't here last year seems like a waste to me. I've always believed that when there's going to come a point where the church is pulled out of earth physically, and it's everyone who has not received Christ is left here. And during that time, there's going to be people that are going to be coming to Christ, but there's not going to be a Holy Spirit to teach and shepherd and guide them. So, if you really want to cast out far, one of the things is to have this archive in these libraries so that they can have some good, sound biblical doctrine that they can learn from, because they're going to be winging it. They obviously got it wrong up until the point where the church was pulled out, so they can't really rely on themselves. So having this there for the long term is a big deal. Having it available now for the members of your church, for the people that want to study and go more in depth, I think it's just a huge plus. I don't think we can have too much, good, sound biblical teaching. So I think everybody should do it. If you're not doing anything, you need to start recording audio. If you're already recording audio, grab a camera and start doing video. And building these materials so that people can use them. It's my opinion. Well, and it's the truth.
Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, and not only that, the world is going video.
Absolutely.
I mean, you don't sit there and listen to audio clips on Facebook.
No.
Right? And if you do, you got to do a lot of post-editing to get the word art and the photos and videos behind it to back it up. Whereas if you have great video, you can use that as a starting point and really, best case scenario, add subtitles. Worst case scenario, we put the clip up there anyways and people watch it anyways. Yep. So the world is going video. Yes, podcasting is still huge.
Absolutely.
Getting those clips are still big, but the video is kind of where we're headed. And
we engage visually.
We engage visually. That's right. So plus, once you start recording video, if you're not live streaming is right around the corner. You're talking about adding one more piece of equipment. That's not going to be your most expensive investment, and now you can live stream. So let's get into equipment, Dave.
Okay.
I love that you broke this down. Of course, we need a great camera. And I really like that you put low budget, mid range, and mid high range. Pastor, when a pastor I had for 7 years worked under, when I gave him proposals, he would always say, give me the Chevy Nova proposal, like the low budget.
Yeah.
Give me the Honda or I guess Honda Accord, or what's the other one I'm thinking of? Nissan Altima.
Yeah.
Mid-range, kind of like this will be nice and comfortable for us to use. And then give me the Cadillac, like the dream that you have. So I would always submit like 3 options in the proposals, and I really like that you did that. We have the low budget, which to me is very, very affordable for just about every church, even a church of 40.
It literally is a no-brainer.
Mid-range, and then mid-high, and then we have another one here. Maybe that's the super high. So break this down. What kind of cameras are we looking at? I'm really excited for the first one because I might get that for me.
So
this Christmas.
The first thing to do is ask yourself where you want to go. And do you have budget? If you're doing this on your own, and we have a lot of people out here who the pastor just for whatever reason doesn't get it. It's this thing that's out there, this idea of recording or idea of live streaming, but it's so beyond where the pastor is thinking right now that you just basically need to do it and make it happen and then show it to them and prove the concept, in which case you're starting off with very little budget. Now, first off, the most important thing is start. So if you have no budget, I don't care where to go. It's in my back pocket. If you've got this, start with it. Okay, your phone. Mine has the Mandalorian on it. It's really cool. But if you have a phone that's, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old at the least, you've got a really good camera on here. So get a tripod, get a little clip. I've got a little clip here holding my iPhone over here. Just a little clip, put it on the tripod, go sit up on the front row, shoot, and record, okay? You've started, okay? That's the absolutely no budget bootstrapping. Okay, set that aside. I got a couple $100 I want to get to put into this, or we have a couple $100 budget and stuff. Canon makes really, really, I'm not lying, folks, really good quality camcorders that cost nothing. I mean, a little bit. Look, the Canon Vixia R800 is a very small camcorder. It's about the size, the footprint of your phone, okay? It's a high-def camcorder, shoots 1080, 30. I don't remember if this one does 60 or not, but it does 1080p. It's $190, $200 on Amazon. The footprint, the physical thing is it's a little bit narrower than your phone is. It's about the length of your phone, and it stands about this tall. It's inexpensive. I do a TV show, a broadcast TV show with 2 of these. Those are the cameras that we have. We use those in our studio with lights, and I've shot 1,000 episodes, with it, so it works, and they're cheap, $200. Now, if you got a little bit more budget, then you need to start looking at something a little higher quality, has a little bit more features to it, a little bit more ease of use with it. The sensor is going to be a little bit larger. The glass, the lens glass is going to be a little bit better. The quality overall is going to be a little bit better. You can take a look at the Vixia HFG line. Okay, it's the big brother to the smaller Vixia. So we've got the little guy right here, the R800. That's a couple $100, and then we jump up to its big brother, which is a little bit more professional, and it's about $1,200, I think. Justin, what did I say? $1,200, $1,300? Yeah, about $1,300. It's a much higher quality. The glass is better. The sensor is better. You can even, if we move up into the mid-high range, just like one level above that, then we can go to the XA series. I didn't bring that up, but I will. Give me 2 seconds here, folks. The XA series is more prosumer. It's like the G series is for a person who is a hobbyist and wants to have better quality. The XA series is like a professional who has a lower budget. Wouldn't you say, Justin?
Yeah, I don't consider myself a budget, and I didn't use the G series, but I used the XA series, and I loved it.
Yeah,
I had no problems with it. It was very simple. Documentation was great. So if I did have any questions, the manual or the website was very helpful to me.
Yep.
And it had all the connections and everything I needed. So I used the XA13, I think is what I used, which is around $1,200.
Right. So
and it was so great for me in our church. This
one is the XA40, and one of the things we'll just jump back and forth between this version and the little brother to it, the G40. So you'll notice the G is basically a higher end camcorder. Okay, so we got your starter camcorder, which is the R800. We've got the G series, the G40, which is a higher end camcorder. Then we've got the XA series, which looks a lot like the G down here, but has more bells and whistles to it. So right here, one of the things that it has, let's see, can I even get to that? It doesn't show me that side, but I'll kick over here. One of the things that it has right here on top is it has, on the opposite side, you see the dials and stuff, but if you just go right over to the other side, it's got 2 XLR inputs, which are the mic inputs. So you can take microphones and run them straight into this camera, and then you can send phantom power if it is a unpowered mic. if it needs phantom power, like a condenser mic does. You can also adjust the gain. You can mix it. You've got a lot more fine control over it. And of course, it has this mount up here for a shotgun mic. So if you're doing some run and gun stuff, you can actually run it right into here. Get good quality audio. It's a very affordable pro-ish level camera. Okay, and I'm using pro in quotes because you can and will do professional stuff with it, and it's not a $5,000 professional camera. Okay, we use the XA series. We use the XA20s doing Geek Beat, and I did hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of live shows with 3 of those. Actually, we started with the Vixia series, the little ones, and then moved up to these, and the quality is impeccable. These little things are, if memory serves me, Justin, they're 3 chip, I think. Which means they have I'm trying to remember if these are 3. If these are 3 chip or not. Someone correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. But a 3 chip, a 3 CCD camcorder basically allows for like just capturing red, just capturing green, just capturing blue, and processing it alone, and then mixing it with the others. It's a superior image quality. So anyway, that's the XA series. Those are great. If you've got some budget and want to start recording, less than $2,000, grab one of these, and you'll hit the ground running. Really good quality. If you have very little budget,
and let me throw this in there: those mid-range cameras, the G40 or the XA40. These, while it's a lot easier if the camera stays in the booth and it's a single-use camera. If you're in a church that's doing, you're running the camera to camp, you're running the camera around the sanctuary, you're filming a whole bunch of things. The G40 and the XA40 will do everything you could need. And then also the lenses are swappable, right? If you need anything else.
No, these are not. These are not swappable lenses.
Okay, all right.
But you can.
I thought I remember my XA being able to swap out lenses. No. I must be wrong on that.
No, but you can buy lenses. You can buy lenses that screw onto it. So if you need a telephoto lens, more than if you want to basically take what is optically in the camera and multiply that by 2. So if it's a 10 by zoom, you put a telephoto lens on it, and then you're zooming through that, and you get a closer thing. If you need a wide angle, in fact, we use those. We would put these wide angle adapters on. You just screw it on the lens. It threads on just like any filter does, and now you've got a wide angle. And can shoot in tighter space.
I used the wrong word, but that's what I was thinking of. It is adaptable.
Yes.
For the different use cases. So it's not just if you have an issue pitching, like we just need it for live stream. This can be used for anything and just about everything you need to run and gun with, or do a testimonial video. You can do a lot of that with these cameras. So they are multi-use. Just want to throw that out there.
And because it has the audio inputs on it, not just a little the little 3 1/4 inch mic jack, not the little jack that you just like your headphone jack, not that style. Actual heavy duty mic cables, like this cable that's on my. Can you see it?
Yep, we can see it.
Yeah, the one that's on my microphone here, the one that's got the 3 holes inside the thing, that is a professional mic cable, and so you can run. And because this thing is geared towards more pro use, you can do it all in the camera. So you use your SD card to capture the video and the audio at the same time, versus shooting it with one and then having a recorder or something to capture the audio on another, and then having to mix them together when you're doing other things other than live streaming. So it's really, really good. And then if you want to kick it up even further, if you've got more budget in the same ish price range, within a few $100s of like that XA, you can actually move into a pan tilt zoom camera. PTZ Optics makes these. So does Sony. So does Panasonic. So does NewTek. This is a camera that doesn't look like a camcorder. In fact, I'll show you a picture of one here real quick. It doesn't look like a camcorder. It looks like a little bulb with a lens on it. security cameras. It looks more like a security camera type deal than it does a camcorder. And I'll bring one up here for you guys to see. Something like this. It is this unit mounts on a tripod or in a video a threaded video mount. This unit here, this portion right here, the little gimbal thing, rotates. Usually it rotates just under 360 degrees, so it'll rotate all the way around to the left to shoot at the back, and then all the way around to the right to shoot at the back, as opposed to just spinning around on its own, if that makes any sense. And then this part will tilt all the way down and then all the way up, and sometimes it, depending on who makes them, they may go over. But the idea is that you can deploy these cameras around in different locations and control them remotely. When you look at the back of these, they have a LAN connection, so an Ethernet cable goes in here. They've got HDMI, so you could just plug it straight into a TV or to an HDMI video switcher. And they've got SDI, which is a higher density video cable. And then, depending on the model. And this one I'm just looking doesn't have it, but depending on the model, this LAN controller right here can not only, and this is usually what you use to control. Okay, so you'd run a network cable from here to a unit, a remote control basically that sits on your desk with a little joystick on it. On a little bit higher end model of this version, you can also transmit the video through your Ethernet connection as well. These are great. I have done high end, like big interviews and all that kind of stuff using these. I have done live shows using these. I've done my own. Smile, Justin. You're on camera. I'm
just watching. I'm watching your screen share, but I'm
yeah.
10 seconds behind.
Yeah, sorry. If you're listening to this on audio, when I cut back to the two-shot, I always keep a two-shot of he and I when one of us is talking. And so when I cut back to a two-shot and he's like, just like staring off, just like, wow, that's look awesome. So anyway, the PTZs are really cool because basically one person can control multiple cameras. The controllers that come with these, they're a little bit smaller than your keyboard. They have a joystick on them. They have a series of buttons on there, so you can say, camera 1, and now you're controlling camera 1, and then you can use your joystick to move it and set it wherever you want. And you can, up and down and zoom in and all that. But then there's also like presets. So you could say, take one of the cameras, camera 1, and you zoom up for a close-up shot of, say, your pastor, and you set that as your preset. And then you do like a medium shot, you back out so that you get like a full body shot of him, so that he can like walk a little bit inside that shot. Okay, and you set a preset for that, for like preset number 2. Then you could do like a wide shot, or you could pan it to where the piano player is or the drummer or something like that. Set that for preset number 3, and then hands off, you just hit preset 1, and if the camera's pointed over here somewhere, and it zooms up to where he is. And then you hit number 2 and it backs out a little bit. Hit number 3 and it goes over to where the drummer is. So you can predefine these shots and just go to them as you need to. It's really handy when you have a minimal crew. For me, Justin, I'll just share the perfect blend is to have 2 or 3 PTZ cameras that are stationed remotely around the sanctuary, and then have one camera in the back that's manned by somebody. So like take one of these XA40s or XA50s, and you have a person on a tripod, and that person's job is to follow the pastor. So they set up on a medium-ish shot of the pastor, or the worship leader, or whoever the main action. Okay, that's what they're following. So if the pastor starts wandering around on the stage, they're just tracking along. If he comes down off the steps and starts walking up the aisle and is praying over somebody, Miss Betty who's getting ready to go have surgery, whatever, you're just following the whole time whatever the pastor's doing. And that one is manned. And the reason it's manned is because you've got someone focusing 100% on that one camera and what it has to capture. And then the others, you have presets set up, and you can manually, even if you're doing this live switching, you can actually grab the joystick of one and zoom it around and move to some other thing that you need to get or whatever. So it's like a hybrid of using both of those. These PTZ cameras, you're looking on the low end at $1,400, $1,500, $1,600. If you want one that can do more and like be able to use Ethernet cable, which means that you can like deploy it anywhere in the building if you need to, not just in the sanctuary. You don't have to run video line. You can stick it on the stage and then run an Ethernet cable out the stage door and into the server room, instead of like trying to run it 100 feet all the way back to the balcony where your setup is. You're going to pay, $2,000-ish for these, but they're really good, really good quality. I shot over 100 feet with a 20 by zoom lens on one of these from like the back of an old Fort Worth Baptist church that has a big long hall, two rows of pews. It looks like a Baptist version of a Catholic cathedral, and 100 feet from the balcony all the way up to the where the pastor is with a 20 by zoom lens looked great. With a 30 by zoom lens, we were able to like take a look at the pastor when his eyes would contract when he's doing baptisms. Impeccable quality.
Cool. And some quick questions in regards to video that we also got. Lenses, is there anything specific with lenses we should be looking out for when we want to record our sermons?
It depends on the types of cameras. So when you go beyond using like the PTZ cameras and you move into real high-end pro-grade cameras, the types of cameras maybe that you would see a news crew running around with, where you got the guy with the one sitting on his shoulder and he's got a nice big lens and a box on it, and it's like a major camera. It's like a $10,000 camera. When you move into that range, then you're going to start using different types of lenses. You can use lenses that cost $5,000. You can use lenses that cost $100,000. These are like made for television broadcast kind of things, and there's churches that use these. Panasonic makes some of these. Their XD Cam line. These are professional television broadcast type cameras. They can be set up in a studio type situation where you've got the tripod and you've got someone sitting there and you got a little light on top that says which one is on, so that the camera operator knows that his camera is live. You can do that. You can use those lenses. If you want kind of taking a little bit of a step down from there, you can get Blackmagic makes the Ursa Mini, which is when you start building it out, it's like, say, the body of that kind of a camera system, that high-end camera system, and then you add a lens on, then you add on more, you add on audio components, you add on all this sort of stuff, and you kind of build one out. Blackmagic also makes their studio cameras, which are really good. The studio camera, I can actually show you what it looks like. It's kind of weird. Is you look at it and you go, that's a camera? And it's because it's basically a screen with a lens attachment on it, if that makes sense. Let's see, Blackmagic Studio camera. When you take a look at this, you'll be like, what? So here's one. It's about $1,500. So you can see it looks kind of weird. The lens doesn't come with it. You can put any kind of lens on it, Canon lenses, things like that. You've got the audio connectors right here. You've got a hood. When you flip it around to the back side, I don't even know if they show the back side. When you flip it around, like, look on the other side, inside this hood, there's just a big screen, and that's where all your settings, it's all touch screen on settings where you can like start, dialing in everything. One of the things about cameras like this, though, is that they don't. When you have a camcorder, just like when you have like a point and shoot camera or the camera on your phone or whatever, a lot of the color stuff is done like on the phone or on the camera. So I can go in and say, You know, I want my saturation to be a little bit more. I want the contrast to be a little bit more or a little bit less. You can sort of set this up, and then the camera just kind of takes over and does this stuff, right? When you're using something like this, it's a flat profile, which means it's not overly saturated. In fact, it's kind of flat and dull looking, and the contrast is very flat and dull. It's not like super black darks or super dark blacks or super bright. Everything's really neutral, and you look at it and you go, something's wrong. If you're not familiar with that, you look at it and go, something's wrong with this camera. This is not right. Where's vivid? You know, where's natural? You know, where's cinema? You know, you look for those presets that we see on our camcorders and things like that. Where's portrait? You know, you don't have that with this. This is designed to basically suck in an image and then let stuff on the other end set all the colors. So if you're using a TriCaster and this is connected to the TriCaster, you then go into your TriCaster and you start setting up the color the way you want it. So it's much more involved. They're like this $1,500. You know, the cost of an XA. But you got to have more stuff going on with it. But you do get more professional results. You can use a bunch of different kinds of lenses. You could have a 200 millimeter telephoto lens on it. You could put a one of those lenses that you see like on TV shows that you know, have like the lens like it's real small and then it gets real big at the end and has a box on it and stuff. That I'm being real generic in the terms there, but you can use all those kind of lenses on their cinema lenses and things like that. When it comes to shooting in a church, basically, if you're going to go with a camcorder, you want something that has a 20 or a 30 by optical zoom lens, which means that the glass elements in there are changing their distance from each other. They're physically moving in there. Like a telescope or like your binoculars. If you have an old set of binoculars and you know you're zooming in and what have you, that's what you're looking for. Optical zoom in these camcorders. If you see digital zoom, stay away from it. I can't tell you, Justin, how many times I have someone go, "Hey, I found this cam," and it looks like a Vixia. You know, it's like, oh, it looks great, you know, but it's like $79. You know, is this a good deal? No. Well, it looks just like a Vixia. Okay, then go look at the price of a Vixia and look at the price of this and ask yourself, how are they doing that? They're doing that because the camera lens is fixed. It's a cheap lens. It's a GoPro lens. You know, it's a cheap little lens, and anything that you do is going to be digital. So it's going to take the image and just magically digitally blow it up. Do that with a JPEG. Go find a JPEG online, and, you know, in Google image search. Get one that's about, I don't know, 320 by 240, and or maybe is like 10K in size. Take it into Photoshop and zoom it up 300 times, and tell me how crystal clear it is. It won't be. It's going to be itchy and scratchy and nasty looking. That's the kind of stuff they're doing with those really cheap. So you always want to have optical zoom.
Yeah, so optical zoom it's actually zooming in with the hardware of the lens.
Yes.
Digital zoom is we're here and all I'm going to do is blow it up. So kind of like if you take a cheap clip art and you try to put it on a poster and it comes out all pixelated, or a logo, and I think we've all been there in church, right? We take a logo and we put it on something and it's like, why does it look so blurry or pixelated? Great for Bigfoot, not great for your pastor. So
I'm going to digitally watch. I'm going to digitally zoom. I'm going to digitally zoom Justin so you guys can see.
Always me.
Yeah. Let's see if that will. There you go. Main. Okay, hang on. Okay. Justin is now digitally zoomed. He doesn't look all that great, does he? No, he doesn't.
Now, can you make out the detail on the Iron Man poster? Can you zoom into there?
Can't actually see it because it's like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but well, yeah. I mean. See, we're losing some of our fidelity. It's not looking as good as it would be if it was like, you know, normal, not zoomed. So like what I do? Reset? No. Let me see. Now I got to rebuild it. There we go, and then zoom him over, and there he is. Okay. But the quality's not there like it could be if it was being done optically. And here's optical. Watch. I'm going to cut over to this camera that I'm on right now. This is a $10,000 video camera. from Canon. It's 10 years old, but it has much better optics. I'm going to, let's see, that's zooming out. Let's see, I'm going to try to do it without messing the shot up. But if I zoom in, this is all being done optically. Let's see, will it focus? Hello? There we go. Focus for me. I may be too close. Yeah, I am a little too close. There we go. So, there you go. Now it's in focus. My beard's in focus because everything is being done optically. It's clean. It looks sharp. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not all pixelated. Okay, I think I'm back to where I should be. There we go. So that's really the difference between digital and optical. When the glass elements are moving, that's what you want.
Now, what about 4K? Is that something we should look for in our camera?
Okay, these cameras that we get from like the G series, like that XA, like that SA40 shoots 4K. I'm trying to remember if the newer Gs do or not. I don't remember. I don't think so. I don't think they do 4K. Here's the deal with 4K. If you're going to, okay.
Yeah, G40 is just HD.
Just HD, right? So when you're going to do video, okay, when you're going to be live streaming stuff, if you want to live stream and you want to do it in 4K, that's fine. You got to have a lot of bandwidth to be able to do it. You've got to have a lot of processing power, which means you really need to get like a TriCaster, or you need to build yourself a PC if you're going to like run vMix on it or something. You need to build one that, you know, is like an i9 and not an i7, like an i9, and has like 32 gigs of RAM and has like an 8 gig video card. You know, you've got 4K video capture cards that you got to put in. Things get expensive when you do that. And you've got to have a lot of processing power to do multiple cameras and do all that, okay? So ask yourself, is it worth the investment? Okay. If you're just going to shoot, if you're not going to stream and you're just going to be shooting and then like editing and uploading, then doing 4K is okay. For the long term, shooting in 4K gives you a higher resolution, higher quality video that you can then repurpose later. So if you're doing everything big and then shrink it down to 1080 or 720p, you know, to upload to Facebook or do something like that, or, you know, to distribute, you know, or I mean, if you're going to burn it on DVDs or Blu-rays or something, going from a really high resolution down to a lower resolution gives you better quality than going from a low resolution and trying to scale it up to the higher resolution. Trying to digitally zoom, because that's what you're doing, and keep really good quality. There's ways to do it, okay, but there's a lot of time and all that. So if your camera has 4K, if you're buying a camera, like if you buy one of these XAs and it has 4K and you want to shoot stuff in 4K, kind of the way I do it is this going to be something to be kept around for the long term? Then I'll do it. I'm starting to shoot, Justin, our YouTube videos. I'm shooting them in 4K, editing them in 4K, and uploading them in 4K. That's great. If I need to deliver it at a lower resolution, it looks fantastic in doing so. But these are things that we want to keep around. We want to have these for the long time, for the long haul. Our YouTube videos, you know, you and I are building a content library for people to come back to and to learn from for years. So we want to put out the really good quality. The announcement videos I do at church that are, you know, one and done kind of things. You know, I shot one last week. We showed it on Sunday. Done. Never revisiting that one again. The one that's coming up this week is the one that's for this week, and it will be done. The one I shoot next week will be done. So I shoot those in 1080 because they go up on the big screen. They look good. We don't have 4K projectors, so that's fine. I don't have to do it. It saves space on my hard drive, and it saves time in editing. I don't have to fight my computer because my computer can do 4K, you know, individually, you know, individual cameras 4K. If I start doing like multi-camera editing with like 2 cameras that are 4K, then it starts to bog down a little bit. If I do 3 or 4, you know, and I shoot TV shows, you know, and there's times when I will shoot I will not record them live. I will record them on like 4 cameras. And if I'm doing them all in 4K and coming in here and then trying to edit all those, then it bogs down my system and I've got to make proxy files and jump through a bunch of hoops and stuff. So do I need it? No. If it's there, if it's going to be something that you want to keep for a long time, go ahead and shoot it in 4K.
Cool. Dave, should we split this into 2 episodes? We can cover a couple more things, but we have so much more to get to. Should we split this into 2 episodes? Let's decide that right now.
We can, if you'd like.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to tackle a couple more things here in episode 1. Let's talk about tripods.
Okay.
Because something's got to hold the camera.
Yes.
And you don't want it just sitting on the shelf of the media booth.
Right.
Tell me, what should we look for in a tripod?
Okay. If this is a tripod that someone is going to be using, like they're going to be standing there panning and tilting and, making motion and stuff like that, then you want to get a good tripod. You want a tripod that's meant for doing video, not a photo tripod with a ball head on it that you just sort of click and move into position and then let go. You don't want one of these cheap ones that you get at Walmart or Fry's or something like that. Those are good to have as like backups. Like if I you buy one and you keep it in the trunk of your car. It's like, I really need a tripod. Oh, I've got one in the trunk of my car. Okay, worst case scenario, you can use something like that. It's cheap, or you can run and grab one. Okay, but if you're going to be using it week in, week out, and you're going to have someone who's back there videoing, you want something with a fluid head, which means that there's like oil and fluid and it's really high quality. When you go to pan it, it doesn't like jerk as it's turning, and it's not like it sticks and then you start moving it in it and it loosens up, or when you're panning it and going, and then right when you get to a little stop, it kind of sticks and hold. You don't want any of that. Okay, those are the really cheap ones are like that. Or if the really cheap ones, Justin, if you want them to be like really smooth, you have to like remove all the tension whatsoever. You have to completely loosen it up, and then it goes like that. But then, then
you got to hold it.
Yeah, you got to hold it, or you got to be completely level. If it's a little bit, then it's like it starts to, or you have to like tighten it, and then back it off a little bit so that the tension gives you the smoothness.
Yeah, that was what I used, and the worst part is like if we wanted to center it on the pastor, if he was moving, we'd have to go past him. And then it would straighten out.
Yes.
That was my pet peeve. We were using that
kind
of tripod. So what kind of tripod should we be looking for?
So
just fluid tripod?
Yeah, always fluids. Always fluid head, video head. Okay, so you're looking for a fluid head. And what's cool about tripods, when you start spending money on tripods, like $100 or better, you can buy the legs and then you can buy a head to put on them. Okay, so you can. Okay, Manfrotto makes like some of the best tripods out there, period. They're kind of the standard for video tripods. So you can spend hundreds of dollars on the legs, the support system, and then hundreds of dollars on the head. And the head can screw on. You've got the legs, and there's a big screw. There's a big hole in the bottom of that head, and you put it on there, and you twist it on, you get it in place. And, if you need... if money's not an object, we can spend what we need to spend. Then getting a couple of Manfrotto video tripods, something that will allow you to reach a high level. Sometimes, Justin, we're in a situation where we have like a little platform. We may be in the media booth and it's raised up a couple of feet, or we have stands, out in the congregation where we can actually, that are like, 2.5, 3 feet up, where we can actually put stuff up and get above. But then there's other times where we need to shoot over a crowd and we're kind of in the back, and when people stand up, their heads get in the way and all that, and we may need longer legs. So depending on your situation, you can get some that have much longer legs. You can get some that have a post in the middle that can allow you to go up. There's a whole bunch of different options. The key point is you want really good sturdy legs that lock into place and that are not going to sort of wear out over time. Something that maybe has a twist twist lock at the end, so you put it into the where you want, then you screw it down and then it locks in place. Or the ones that have like three, each leg has like three components where there's like two going down and one going up, and it's got a twist fastener in the middle. Those are really good too. Now, if you kind of don't have tons of money but you really want a good head, then get yourself a nice Manfrotto fluid video head, and then you can scrimp a little bit on the legs. You know, the head being the most important thing, because the head, well, obviously you want it to stay still, but the head, because if you're going to be doing a lot of movement, spend the money on the head, save a little bit on the legs. You know, it's a little give and take if you start fighting budget numbers, okay? So just keep that in mind. But
Carl in the chat asks if there's a wall mount version that you can adjust on the fly.
Dude, okay. Wall mount and adjust on the fly, two totally different things. Okay, if you want to adjust on the fly, then you need something with a head that you can stand and use. When you start looking at alternate things, for example, putting your PTZ cameras up, where are they going to be? Okay, so if they're going to be like mounted underneath the balcony, you know, like in the ceiling or on a support post or something like that in your auditorium, then you can get different types of mounts. You can, you know, you could put a shelf there and then put just put a little screw plate, you know, that has the tripod screw, and you screw it on and you get it set in place. There's clamps that you can put on things, like if you've got some like round posts. Manfrotto makes these super clamps that are great. They clamp onto it and you screw it on. It's nice and tight. They got a friction arm. You can get it into position. You can put a clip mount, one of these quick release. I don't know if I have a quick release plate accessible in here, but you know, it's a little plate, and then you take the other half and you screw it onto the bottom of your camera, and you put your camera in there and click, locks it into place, and it's set. There's tons of different ways that you can mount things. If they're going to be stationary and up out of the way, that's great. You wouldn't want to necessarily, if you're going to have an unmanned camera, we're just going to we're going to focus it where we need it to be. We're going to get the angle that we need, and then we'll cut to it when we need it, and we're not going to have a guy standing there. So you wouldn't necessarily want to put a tripod over there that people can bump into. You don't want that. You want to mount it on the wall. You want to, you know, mount it, you know, have it hanging from the ceiling, you know, upside down, flip the image, do things like. There's a whole bunch of different ways to do it. It really depends on your use case. The PTZ
I'm going to throw this out there. I'm going to throw this out there for Carl and for anyone else listening. We understand that every church is unique. We all have unique buildings, and we all have these unique things that are obstacles to do what we want to do. I've been in a church where the sound booth was right next to the stage and not in the back of the room. Yeah. I've been in a sanctuary where the front half is a normal sanctuary and the back half is like a cafeteria with an underhang. I've been in a sanctuary that is wider than it is long, like considerably wider than it is long. I've been in one where the audio booth and the video booth are totally separate, and you got to figure out how to communicate. And we've got CTA insiders. That's people that have joined our Church Training Academy Insider Program that have unique situations that we have to individually create solutions for and talk through solutions and test things for them in order for them to find success. So, Carl, you're asking about these specific things. You just heard there are dozens of ways that you can customize things for your unique setup, and we can't address them all. Dave can try, but the show is going to be 2 hours long. So just for anything, specific questions, we love that you're asking questions. Once we get into the specifics, though, it's going to be easier if you become a Church Training Academy insider. See churchtrainingacademy.com/join. You get access to our Facebook group, and you get access to our group coaching where you can talk with Dave or myself in person through Zoom twice a month. And we'll actually walk you through those individual things. You can share photos with us of your setup, and we'll go through and help you find the best options and troubleshoot what you're already trying to do. So, Dave, I'm not going to let you sit here and talk for 2 hours, because I know you could, but we got to move on and wrap this up. And I got two more things that I want to ask you about. So tripods, I put a link down there for the Manfrotto options there. I put just a link to the general tripod that comes with the fluid head and the legs, but you can mix and match them, and we could absolutely help you with that. SD cards, real quick.
Yeah.
Anything specific we should look in SD cards?
Yeah, when it comes to the SD cards, you really need to be buying the U3 cards. Let me see. I've got one right here, and let's see. This one. I'm checking it here. Okay, so here's the thing. Let's see if we can see this. Okay, so I've got a card right here. You may not zoom in. There you go. Okay, so it's a 64 gig card. I hope you can see it. Notice it doesn't have any specifications. It just is an Ultra. It's 64 gigabytes, and it says 45 megabytes a second. It's an SC1. Okay, it's a class 10. What have you. It's going to be really good for like recording audio. Okay, recording video. Maybe doing some HD video on a lower end camera that doesn't have a lot of the bit rate of the video is like 20 megabits a second or something. It's going to be a lower end card. If you're going to be recording 1080p video and it's like 50 megabits or 30 megabits or 100 or 200 megabits, you're going to want to get a card that is a U3 card. They're a little bit more expensive, not horribly. Let me just bring one up for you real quick. They are they perform better. Okay, so yeah, here we go. Where is right there and right there? There you go. All right, so here's okay. So this card right here, 80 megabits a second, 32 gigs. It's a U1 card. Okay, so it's like super fast. Here's one that's an extreme, 150 megabytes a second. It's a class 10. See that U right there? If you can, let me zoom up. Can you guys see that little U with a 3 in it? That right there is what you're looking for. That is a higher performing card. When you see that, you know that you can record 4K without any problem. Shouldn't have a problem at all. This number right here, that's how fast it reads data off of it, and I'm trying to remember if it writes that fast or not. But this right here, that's one of the clinchers. So just keep that in mind. If you need to save money, then don't try to record 4K. But the SD cards they're cheap. I mean, this one $30 for a SanDisk 128 gig card. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that was a dream 5 years ago even.
Oh, yeah. No, this was $150 a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Cool. So we're going to stop part 1 here because we're coming up on an hour. Part 2 next week after Thanksgiving. We'll try to stay awake from all the leftover turkey. We're going to be talking about audio capture, framing your pastor, how to make your pastor look good on camera, and then also lighting, and then software for editing, and then kind of where to share it. Spoiler alert. If you're recording the videos and editing them down, you've got a lot on your plate, and it takes a long time to pull the clips and make them look good for your social media. You can go to sermonclipper.com and have someone do it for you. They do it professionally. They grab your clip they grab your sermon and they're going to clip it for Facebook. They're going to give you different formats. They're going to give you 3 clips from your video. That's their standard package. And if you use the code, let me make sure I got it right. If you use the code HACKERS, HACKERS, you get 10% off for life. All right, for life. So that's a deal that we have here with Sermon Clipper. So use that code if you want to try it out. Basically, for every sermon, you're going to get 40 custom edited videos, or maybe it's 40 total. I don't know, but that's a lot of videos that you can get clipped that you just hand over your total video recording. When it's great, those clips are going to look even better. So we'll talk more about that next time, but sermonclipper.com, promo code HACKERS if you want someone to do the clipping for you.
Awesome. If you are wanting to go a little bit deeper into this and about how to frame and clip your own clip the sermons and your videos on your own and stuff, I've got a couple of videos that will show you exactly how to do that. I've got one that shows you a new feature in Adobe Premiere that can be automated and do it all itself. And then I've got another one that will show you how to do it on your own, regardless of the type of software that you're using. So Justin and I will both see you in the next video. Take care.